Another day, another Sony Spider-Man movie. Okay, well, that might be a little bit of an overstatement, but I gotta be honest with you guys right off the bat. Morbius was simply just not good. Now I know, I don't know how many of you have even gone out to see this movie. I don't even blame you because all you've seen on the internet is Morbius, the lowest rated Marvel movie since whatever. This movie's got like, I don't know what it's at right now, but it's at like a 16 on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe. It's just, dang man, this one was kind of just disappointing, but it's kind of one I saw coming in the months leading up to it. When that first Morbius trailer hit, I gotta tell you guys, I was all aboard the hype train, so ready to see this character and just see how they're gonna start setting up the Sinister Six. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, they released another trailer. I'm like, all right, this one's good. You know, it may not be as good as the first one, but it's still good. You know, it's still a movie I'm gonna want to see. And then as they start releasing more trailers, more sneak previews and everything, I just got that unshakable feeling that this movie was just gonna be mid, like horrible. And was I right in my assumption? 90% yeah, this movie was definitely not a banger. Now it's the same, I feel like it's the same, they just tried to do the same formula that they did with Venom. They have this character in the comics who's an actual antagonist to Spider-Man, but then they want to make them in the movie, obviously gotta make him more marketable to people, so they have him be less of a villain and just mainly an anti-hero. And I'd say it's more, Venom is more anti-hero than Morbius. I'd say Michael Morbius in this, he's almost full-on good guy. Like, he tries so hard, like, not to take human life, not to do this and this and that. And come down, by the end of the movie, he's pretty much saving everybody from the evil vampire. I'm not gonna get into spoilers that much. Now, before I rail in on what this movie did wrong, I do gotta admit, it did do a couple of things right in my opinion. Number one, I feel like Jared Leto was pretty good for Michael Morbius. I feel like he did sell this scientist who was pretty much out of options, and at this point he's just willing to do whatever it takes, just so he can keep on living and save his friend. And I do like his dynamic of him trying to deal with, alright, what happens if I feed the beast? What happens if I lose control? And you can see those moments when he does lose control, so he genuinely is shaken up about it. And then one of the only other things I can really say good about this movie is that the combat and the way they visualize the vampire's powers is really good. Now, don't get that confused with the action scenes, because I gotta say, the action scenes, the way they're shot is not very good. But for the most part, I think it was a really cool and unique way of showing this vampire power and this really like super speed. And every time he uses echolocation, the world gets like this distorted, wispy feel. Whenever he moves, he gets this wispy like trail behind him. And they do slow down a lot in these fight scenes. And normally, you know, slow motion, a little too much of it can be really bad. But they use it in this movie in a way where they're jumping between super sped up action to super slow, so you can really get that emphasis of how fast this Morbius character is moving. And when he does begin to fly, I feel like that scene is done really well. The music and just the way that it's visualized, like I like how there's just these wispy streams whenever he does anything, and it's just really entertaining to look at. The vampire on vampire fights, for the most part, they are really cool and interesting to look at, and that's really one of the good things I can say about this movie, because vampire combat, I mean, it's easy, you can just have it was like, oh, they're just super strength humans, they're punching each other, they're biting each other, whatever, they're scratching each other. But this movie really took it to the next step and trying to make Morbius' power seem unique and different. One more thing I do want to tap on, I'm recording this after I've already finished the video, but I wanted to go back and talk about it. The person they have for the main antagonist of the movie, I don't really want to spoil who it is, because you know, some of you may still want to see this movie, unfortunately. But I feel like the main villain, I gotta say, he's not a very good villain for this movie. Like, the way he's kind of like a jokey, funny villain at times. He does really goofy things. He's just a very light-hearted villain who's just simple. It's like, oh yeah, I just wanna kill people because, you know, I'm super powered. I got this vampire abilities in me. So what? And I feel like if this were any other movie except this kind of serious whatever verse they're trying to set up, I feel like he would be good, but for the film that they made and they served to us, he was just not very good, but I did like his performance. and I feel like I would love his performance if he was in any other movie. And now I just want to shift my focus to the flaws of this movie. And I gotta say, the biggest flaw of this movie is two things. It's generic and it's boring. Like, it's boring. Like, if you could ask me right now to explain to you the plot of Morbius, I'd tell you you're better off Googling it, because I can't really remember the plot. Because it's just a generic plot, and it doesn't make sense. Like, the villain becomes a villain seemingly out of nowhere. And a lot of the character motivations for doing things just don't make sense. And one of the things, a lot of trailers and a lot of footage from the trailers that were used in this movie, or a lot of footage from the trailer, were not used in this movie. And that really confused me, because during the movie, I'm seeing scenes, and it feels like they're missing something, and then I go back and watch the trailers. The trailers make the scene almost seem entirely different, and the trailers make this movie seem like certain characters are supposed to have a way bigger role than the ones they were given. Like, especially the two cop characters. Like, these guys, they just, whenever you see them, they're just on screen. They're either accusing someone of doing something, or they're just standing there being like, I see. Yep, we got a problem here. Someone's killing these people. Gotta figure it out, because we're two cop guys. They don't have a purpose to be there. One of these characters has this bionic arm that we saw in the trailers, and he never uses it. It's mentioned in one line. They don't even mention anything about it. It's in the past line. It's like, oh, by the way, Doc, thanks for the arm. And then they never mention it in the movie again, and they don't do anything. Then obviously, for those who have seen the movie, special character that appears at the end, so many scenes of him were cut, and they were shown in the trailers. So you gotta wonder if, like, someone behind the scenes got scared, or they just decided it didn't work out in the end. But they cut these scenes from the movie that I feel like it would have been way better, because when you're watching a movie, it feels very disjointed. The first 15 minutes of the movie, I'm confused, because I was like, was that supposed to be here? Like, did they get it wrong? Was this supposed to be later in the film? I don't understand what's going on. And a lot of the times during the movie, I just found myself either confused or just wondering how much time is left before it's over. Morbius fails at keeping you interested. It's supposed to be a universe setting up the Sinister Six, Spider-Man's main antagonist, and I'm just waiting for it to be over. Now, another thing I feel like this movie really dropped the ball at, and I know I say this a lot about movies such as Venom or whatever, but for this one, I truly believe that this movie should have been rated R, or I feel like it was intended to be rated R, because during these fight scenes, you feel like there should be even the tiniest bit of blood. Now, I'm not saying it has to be Deadpool where he cuts the dude's head off, blood splurts out all over the screen, you can see his insides, whatever, yada yada yada. But there's so clearly action scenes where there was meant to be blood, and there probably was blood, but someone went back and keyed it out. Like during a scene on the cargo ship, Morbius, he's in his vampire mode, he goes past this dude, slices his throat, and you can see the dude grabbing at his throat, and obviously he's dying. And you hear blood noises, like there should be blood splurting out of someone's neck, which tends to happen when you get your neck sliced, but you don't see anything. Not even a tiniest speck of blood. I can only recall one scene in this movie where I saw, two scenes in this movie where I saw a little bit of blood. One of them, it was on the screen for a half second and then it was gone. And then the second one, it was just kind of there on the guy. Like, I feel like this movie really was meant to have blood, because whenever Morbius fights, you hear these slices and you hear these slashes going through people's body, and it makes these like noises like there should be blood, but you don't see anything. So I feel like they shot this movie, edited in the blood, and either someone higher up told them, no, there's too much blood, you gotta make it PG-13. Can't have our anti-hero looking too much like a villain now. And they went back and cut it out. Like, this isn't just me wishing everything to be rated R. Like, it genuinely feels like this movie was missing special effects. Morbius was just another disappointment from Sony that originally in the beginning I was really hyped for. But as they released more and more footage of this movie, I got less and less hype, and now here we are with the movie. I'm just disappointed, because Sony is obviously trying to set up this Sinister Six universe, but you can't really do this Sinister Six if you don't make your characters villains. Venom is literally described himself as a protector, the lethal protector, and then Morbius, he barely seems any villain. Like, he does not seem at all like a villain. Then you have, cameo guy at the end. He comes up, and that post credit scene, God, I'm not gonna say what it was, but it was just, it felt so forced. It's like, I can't say it because I'm gonna get this forced, but just know it's bad. They're obviously trying to set up the Sinister Six universe, and honestly, I can't say I have much faith in Sony's next Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man, unless it's Venom 3, maybe. I feel like Sony really just doesn't know how to make a very good Spider-Verse movie without having Tom Holland. So Morbius was just a very disappointment, a very big disappointment. So in short, yeah, Morbius is pretty mid. But hey, you guys let me know down in the comments below if you've seen Morbius, if you're going to see Morbius. But at this point, I don't really care. I'm pretty clocked out. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.